Karima Chiba. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Yes. Karimber Chima. That's how I'm gonna try to say his name. But yes, like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app. You might want to get that ID Go app as well. Fit those two things together. Yes. Fall in line with even that. On the late registration. As in where I come in late sometimes on how to even say people's names. Specifically. Yes. Yes, that's very true. But yes, this whole mess with children, bullies, and allergies playing a part with that sort of thing. As in where other children, in fact, know you have allergies, right? And so they take advantage by getting over on you by, yes, I won't say setting you up, but somewhat, because this young child has in fact died by another child. And I don't know. I'm trying to guess and understand the reasoning mindset of even children when it points into even bullying. I myself have been bullied. Various children have in fact been bullied. But not many of us have been bullied to death, as in somebody going in on a weak spot of yours and then using that to say, put you to death with even that, right? But yes, with young, let me just say Chima, because it's easier for me to pronounce his last name, Chima. Him having allergies of all kinds. He was in fact allergic to all dairy as well as nuts. Yes, and even gluten and wheat. He was allergic to those sort of things, right? And yet one of his schoolmates took the time to, yes, set him up or plot him up, whatever word you want to use for that sort of thing. Because the reason why I'm in question of stuff like that, the bullying aspect, is because sometimes children in fact do bully other children. And yet, once again, sometimes the intention is not to kill another child in the process. It's just to pick with them or whatnot, right? And yet, you never know what awaits on the other side with even that, as in young children not having the mindset absorption and learning because they're not all the way there, right? Because see, him and the other individual, this child that died and the other individual that did this sort of thing to the child with the allergies pertaining to killing him, whether it was accidental or guilt being there, right? As in purpose, right? That's to say, even that child, possibly the bully, didn't know that this young child, Chima, was going to die. Bullies. If your child is being bullied, that sort of thing, you might in fact want to report to the school officials or anywhere else. Yes, with that, because harm can in fact take place, as in take lives, and it has, right? I'm saying depending on what the actual thing is, it is in what's up underneath the bullying. What is the reason why, right? Some children get bullied by ways of because it's very different reasons. I can't really speak on the whole or on a globe, because with so many differences in the world, it's to say what is the reason and what is going to be the issue that follows that sort of thing. So let me state this. Chima was 13 years old. Yes, England. Shouts out to England out there, right? He suffered from anaphylactic shock. Anaphylactic shock. I am from the hood, so my pronunciation is going to be off, as in where I'm checked about my grammar and all that, right? So he, in fact, yes, when it comes to shock, anybody want to fix my wording, you can leave it in the comment section with even that, as in where I'm pronouncing a term wrong. So, yes, in June of 2017 is when this occurred. A classmate threw a piece of cheese down Chima's shirt at William Perkin Church. Let me slow this down so I'm not reading it as a whole. This situation of the classmate throwing a piece of cheese down Chima's shirt, and Chima being highly severely allergic to dairy products, right? This happened at William Perkin Church of England High School in Greenford, England. Chima was once again severely allergic to all dairy products. The outcome of the cheese being thrown down his shirt led to, yes, his death. And I spoke about that in my opening, but to rehash on something that's to allow you, the viewer, to know what, with awareness purposes of what allergies can do. Even when, say, somebody is not purposely trying to set you up on a plot with that sort of thing, as in a bully trying to hurt and harm you or possibly even kill you, it's to say even shock can await you with that, as in you're dying, having severe allergy reactions, and say paramedics not getting to you in time enough to relieve that sort of thing. People, in fact, have died, as in, yes, became killed sometimes by even their own hands, where even they didn't know certain foods and other stuff contain certain allergens. Yes, there's all type of reactions and shocks that go with that sort of thing. So you want to be careful, as in read the food labels pertaining to the bypass, as in you're not knowing, right? A 13-year-old, yes, was the individual that did that. A 13-year-old was placed in custody for attempted murder, which is in fact questionable. His identity, yes, remains hidden because he's not of age, right? So, with you, the viewer, I want you to leave in the comments section, what do you think and feel? Yes, the story is not over. It's completely incomplete, but to throw this in sideways is to go off abstract with that. I want you to leave me in the comments section, what type of ways have you yourself have encountered bullying, and how did you feel? And not only that, did you represent yourself as you were being bullied, or did somebody else represent you with that sort of thing? What category did it fall in pertaining to what was the situation and what was the outcome pertaining to the bullying? Leave that in the comments section, because that has been every human being's experience in life as children, is what I'm trying to say. Teenagers go through that sort of thing as well, which is why you have a lot of suicide on the rise, right? The B13, that's a teen as well, right? And that's why I'm saying that it helps to check on your kids even with that. So continuing into the story. Okay, so a paramedic by the name of Opat. Let's just say Opat, the paramedic's last name, right? A paramedic involved in the matter told St. Pancras Coroner's Court an operator, yes, for 999. The 999 pertaining to, I was going to say extension, but that's an actual call, phone call. Here in America, we call it 911. But over in England, they call it 999. You got that? It was relayed to the 911 operator that Chima was having just an allergic reaction, despite Chima being severely allergic to all things dairy, of course. So when the 999 call went in, and that would be 911 in America, when that phone call was relayed over to the team, paramedic, operator, all that 911 operator dispatch, right? The call was taken in as it was just what's the word for it? More so less serious than what it actually was. This young boy's situation, yes, was taken a little less serious on the call than it was, which is to say even his life could be, yes, alive even in 2018 today, despite him being dead. Accidents, in fact, happen. Whether it's on the end of the bully, we still don't know, or whether it was an accident of the school, or even on the end of, say, the call, how it was driven through, that 911 call. You don't want to play on time with that sort of thing, on a time format, as in get into people, and more so children, when there's a severe reaction going on, as in get the story right as it's happening. Because if not, yeah, that's how people, their windpipe and all the rest. Sometimes their lungs have been known to collapse based off of, yes, allergic reactions, right? And so that was the mix up with even that. And I don't know what the family pertaining to how they feel. The mother, seeming she's was a single mother or whatever, pertaining to this situation. Not single mother, I'm sorry. I'll get to that later. But yes, you want to get that precise. Don't try not to mess up when this sort of thing on a 911 call plays out, because a life could be taken in a matter of seconds, as in an instant, right? So 7 minutes after the 911 call was made over Chima's allergy emergency, Opat, That paramedic I spoke on, he showed up, yes, after 7 minutes. He showed up at the school to find out that the situation was much more critical and much more serious than what was conveyed once again on that 911 call. That's a mess. That's completely, yeah, a complete mess. So this whole life-threatening allergy situation, Opet, once again, that paramedic, once at the scene, after arriving there after 7 minutes, once at the scene, he stated, I immediately knew the scenario was life-threatening, and Chima had a high risk of going into cardiac and respiratory arrest. That's what they say over in England. Over in England, they don't just say, well, cardiac arrest. No, over in England, they say cardiac and respiratory arrest, because even that is somewhat two different things depending on, yes, the situation and the outcome with that, right? That's what he said. That is so sad. He's so cute. You can tell Chima himself was Arab or something. Yeah. So, allergic reaction. Chima laid flat on the floor while this was taking place. Chima laid flat on the floor, flooded by teachers in his presence. He was unconscious and gasping for air, as well as he was covered in hives. Yes, as staff, they were trying to do everything that they could. The staff, yes, were in fact trying with that sort of thing. They in fact tried antihistamine syrup. That's for those that out there, any viewers have allergies. If this issue plays out in your own life and world with even you, children, or even the elderly, because sometimes this sort of thing happen with even the elderly. But the staff, in fact, assisted by trying antihistamine syrup. They tried an EpiPen. All this was being done on Chima, and they also tried an inhaler, despite him being unconscious, right? But none of this would in fact resolve the matter, because he still laid unconscious. Nothing would in fact resolve that child's suffering at all. So Opet, going back to the paramedic, he realized just how severe Chima's situation was, which forced Opet to leave Chima. Yes, he had to leave him because there was a situation. There was a situation that happened twice. Not only was there a situation placed with that 911 call, making it all appear as if Chima's situation was less life-threatening, right? But Opet, the paramedic, also had an issue as well. He had to leave Chima on the floor to quickly run outside to call for backup. And the reason for him doing this was because of a lack of reception from his radio. He couldn't get good reception inside of the school, which again is what forced him, yes, that paramedic to go outside. That is so sad. The call mix up, and then you got the paramedic where he can't get reception inside of the school, so he's forced to leave the child there. And sometimes even staff members, despite them being trained in CPR and all this other stuff, sometimes they don't even know the proper technique of even that. And yet, even if they do, is to say what has all been done has been did and done, right? Which is how individuals like this go lifeless, because anytime there's a paramedic on the scene, you never want him to walk or her to walk too far away from that individual, whether it's a child, woman, man, or elderly. You don't want to go too far with even that, not even going outside. And yet even he had to, because he needed to get more people back up in on this. And yet that's not to say that that was the cause of the child's death. No, because either way, the child was going to die severely anyway. Because even if he would have gotten reception on the inside of the school, that's still time as well. It's time in all this. It was time on the mess up of the call, the 911 call that was made, as well as the time with even the paramedic with the backup. Because see, backup, they in fact take time. Once you're in traffic, being a backup, and you're trying to work your way around in the vehicle, yes, with that sort of thing, more paramedics hitting the scene and even police and all that, as to say you got to have people move out your way and all that takes time, right? It's sad that a life was lost even at the age of 13. I was going to say it was foolish that it happened to begin with, but even it needs to be, somebody needs to come out and say whether that was intentional, as it's viewed that way by that other 13-year-old student that has did this. How does that student feel now that the child is dead? Did the student have hatred for a young Chima, that other classmate? Because if that's the case, that child might in fact need to go to jail. Yes, and possibly serve, I was going to say a life-term sentence, but with the child not being knowledgeable that allergies can in fact kill you, and you doing that, striking a child with some cheese and they're allergic, it's to say that the child more than likely is going to serve less time because that other child didn't have that knowledge, right? Some people might say, give them the book. Yeah, I can agree with that sort of thing, but you got to look at the mental faculties, as some would say, pertaining to the awareness of young children and what they don't know. As in, the damage is done and it has been, as it is there, and it's, yes, with that. And yet you think, well, how long should that child in fact serve over the bullying aspect itself? As in, pull from his mind, where even that young 13-year-old child might in fact try to cover that sort of thing up. Yes, as in him knowing he might in fact serve time going to a juvenile facility or something like that, right? With that sort of thing. Something has to come in the outcome with this, and more than likely later on, even if not charged in today, it just has to be, because that's not right with that. Yeah, so once again, when Opat, that paramedic, returned back inside of the school, Chima had stopped breathing. I stated that everybody tried to save this child with this situation. It just was a whole mix-up with all that. So as Opat, yes, the paramedic and his colleagues did everything to save Chima while waiting for more help to arrive. Opat and his colleagues distributed to Chima adrenaline shots. So not only on top of the staff doing what they did pertaining to the antihistamine syrup, the EpiPen, and that inhaler with the school and the staff and all the rest with that. Not only did they do that to try to save him, also this paramedic and his colleagues also tried to distribute adrenaline shots, because to shoot an adrenaline shot inside of a child's body, even a man, woman, or elderly person's body, is to know they're going to wake all the way up. It just has to be done. That's what adrenaline does. They in fact used that when Prince Roger Nelson, Prince the singer, Purple Rain, the one that died, right? When he in fact passed out on that flight, yes, and he had to end up being rushed to the hospital, Prince the singer, right? They in fact distributed to him, I believe it was an adrenaline shot. They do that, yes, for individuals that get strung out on drugs and all the rest with that, because it in fact, it zooms up everything in the body. It just has to force you to wake up, right? So with them shooting those adrenaline shots, that didn't work. The defibrillator, they tried that didn't work. And the CPR, they tried that on the child, that didn't work either. So in the end, yes, Chima died on July 9th. 10 days after the bully incident is when he died. He was what hospital, you ask? Chima was in fact at Great Ormond Street Hospital when he died. This is so sad. So when it comes to the courtroom appeal and that other 13-year-old I mentioned, yes, once in court, Opat, that paramedic, stated, "We were told by the school," this is what the paramedic stated with their own, wording. "We were told by the school staff that perhaps someone had chased Chima with cheese and proceeded to throw the cheese down his shirt." Court always comes into play with that, and it should pertaining to dying like that. That's messed up. Cheese. Yes, people be wondering, well, how could cheese? Yeah, you don't know. Some things are very dangerous. My brother, in fact, has a peanut allergy. My brother and his daughter, in fact, they both have peanut allergies, and I don't know what it is on his side of my brother's side of his father's side of the family, I should say, because I don't have allergies all like that, right? Man, but for life to be taken in that way, that's not embarrassing. No, for some people it would be. That's not it. Oh, because yeah, that's a teaching lesson. Again, I'm repeating that for the second time. So, harsh realities, the devastation in Chima's food allergies. I stated this in the opening. I gotta rewind back because it's to repeat this twice is for you, the viewer, to remember what could happen. So his allergies included all nuts, every single nut, all nuts, yes, wheats, as well as gluten and eggs. And it stated his allergies were so severe, Chima had to have not only his very own refrigerator at home, but his own microwave to prevent cross contamination. Do you know what that sort of thing is? Cross contamination. Cross contamination can be a very lethal thing. Lethal, deadly, killing type of thing. Cross contamination is they do that too on assembly lines when people have nut allergies, like I spoke on about my brother with peanuts, right? Factories, you might have like the Nestle's, or there's all type of candy bars such as Snickers, right? Once you have on the assembly line cross contamination such as peanuts and all the rest, whoever's working in that factory on that assembly line is going to have to clean that up, because they might in fact use that assembly line. Say if you used it for Snickers to create a Snickers bar. So Snickers usually has chocolate and on the inside has peanuts, right? Or say you do the same thing for a Butterfinger. Butterfinger also has peanuts as well, but chocolate lays on top of it. Cross contamination can come as if you're on the assembly line and peanuts was in fact there, and then you come along with something else behind that, right? Another product that's going to be served to individuals that have all type of nut allergies. That has to be cleaned up real good, that assembly line, to prevent that, because if it's not, that's where cross contamination comes in. It's the mixing of the two, the non-allergy with the allergy substances, and who's going to consume what and why. And what lawsuit can be brought later with that sort of thing if it's not done right, pertaining to these companies that create even snacks and stuff that even young children and families like to buy. You have to be careful with that. Sometimes it's best even to have an assembly line that's separated from the main assembly line, that's actually operated and made for individuals such as these type of people that suffer from allergies, so that that sort of food or whatever you're allergic to doesn't make its way into your system. Because there's been accidents with that sort of thing too, the cross contamination pertaining to individuals buying stuff and there being traces of certain things that you're allergic to in the food. People have died or their face have swelled up and all the rest with that. Yeah, so it's best to have the assembly line separated. But yes, with him, he had to in fact have his own refrigerator at his home as well as his own microwave to prevent that sort of thing. So the family had their own stuff and he had his to prevent him from dying. But in the end, he ended up dying. That's messed up. So Chima's mother is in fact an accountant. She's an accountant, yes. Bankroll and all the rest. She's 52 years old. She goes by the name of Rena Chima, his mother. She shared and expressed, "We want answers." That's what she said, and she should, as in that's her responsibility, because remember, that was her baby she loved and cared for, right? This info was in fact stated at the courts on Wednesday. What's today? It's in fact Saturday. So on Wednesday, she stated about wanting an answer. But Chima is remembered as a very, very bright young student full of life who could have been anything he wanted to be. His mother, yes, stated, that's what she stated. That's a heartfelt note from the mother of Chima's to his own end in heaven. His mother went on to state I brought him up by myself. I trained him to read all about his condition. Awareness is so important. Her being his mother wanted to ensure that he knew about his condition just in case of something like a situation like this was to play out. And yet sometimes even preventive matters can't. Yes, even preventive measures can't prevent stuff like this, especially when other people is involved. You never even know. And yet even the mother tried, right? She's possibly in grieving over her feeling and sensing that she didn't try enough, and yet she did, because what else can be done, especially when a bully is involved? You never know. Sometimes it helps. Not saying that, no, she's not at fault. The mother, Chima's fault. Chima's mother is not nowhere at fault, but it does help, yes, to be teaching your children how to, in fact, deal and endure with bullies. And yet that sort of thing possibly wouldn't been able to be prevented as well, because remember, that other 13-year-old child randomly threw, yes, that cheese down his shirt like that, randomly. So sometimes even trying to prevent bully situations, you do the best that you can, but sometimes it's never enough. So Detective Sergeant Christian Rogers noted the student responsible for Chima's death. Yes, threw the cheese at Chima. That student is no longer at the school, is what the sergeant stated. That child that threw that piece of cheese was in fact pulled from the school, and they should, because there's a lesson that's gonna come for even that child as well, more than likely later, and I said that. And the young perpetrator has not been charged in Chima's death. The child has yet to be charged with Chima's death in this ongoing investigation. That is complete, man. Some people might say, well, that's completely out of the ordinary. How could somebody, because some individuals have never in life met people that say have died in these type of situations, as in not a hiccup, but when something like that plays out. People, in fact, strikes people's what's the word for it? Not only pique their awareness to want to know a little bit more, but it helps me. Even sharing his story helps people to stay on the lookout, even in public, when you're out there surrounded by individuals you don't know and say they have life-threatening allergy type of issues, and say, yeah, something happened, or something not even involving a bully or something, but just something random happens, right? That's to say, from my end to yours, the viewer, to get involved much more quicker and much more sooner. It helps to play it forward, as in, yes, to help to save a life with that, so that there's no mix up and messing up with that, because that too is how Chima died. I said that for a fifth time. Them not the response being too slow and all this other stuff, the paramedic reception and all that, right? That's all that goes together. People die because the response is so slow. It just has to happen. The devastation. So rest in peace, young Chima. He was cute. He in fact was. And love to the family as well. Because see, the mother more than likely is suffering more than anything, because for you to not only have a child born, remember, she took care of the child before the child came out of the womb. The mother cared for the child, as in her feeding the child, right? As well as she cared for the child once the child was born and being fully developed, which means the child's allergies more likely was there. Some people in fact don't catch their children's allergies until years down the line, but for him to be 13 is to say that's a very young age, which means the mother was more likely somewhat in suffering and grieving, knowing that they had to watch and prep and prepare everything for him to eat just enough to not make him sick and all the rest. Sometimes that's grieving on the end of a parent, even more so, when you're a single parent and all the rest with that type of thing, right? Because sometimes even food takes money and sometimes costs costs much more money to even single parents when you have to pay for food, and it has to be special food, as in what the child has to eat, and sometimes love to eat, such as snacks, as in the child can't consume everything. That's more money being spent. So the mother, in fact, had to suffer a lot on her own. And not just that, them finding out that he had the severe allergies pertaining to consuming all that type of stuff and what he couldn't, right? Planning and prepping his meals, I said that, and then now with him being laid to rest. That's a lot of grieving on the end of the family. So shouts out to the family, Chima's family to be exact. His mother, because there's nothing like burying your own child, something that was a part of you and it was taken based upon foolish activity. Yes, which could have been an accident. Yet once again, we don't know, right? But say if it was, that is so sad. That's the unfairness of life. It just has to be said, right? So yeah, shouts out to his mom. So ID, the logo sits above. Right now, Diabolico. The year you're asking pertaining to Diabolico, yes, 2013, something like that. The science is telling, as in do tell from my end to yours, the viewer. Leave me some comments in the comment section or something. With that, somebody else possibly, yes, know about Diabolico. In plain sight, you can inflect, yes, click here to watch now. It helps to be lovely with that, as in show off my selling skills with that. No retail over the bell. Catch me with that if you can. Shouts out to Paula, baby. Shouts out to a player. To add to favorites is to click here. The description, in fact, awaits you to find out what that sort of thing is about. Evil lives here. Each one of these fatal vows, they all have a description. Lieutenant Joe Kinder, homicide hunter. Shouts out to a player. I love Lieutenant Joe Kinder, let me tell you. He's part of the family, Discovery. Who didn't know that sort of thing? I'm saying. So, Red Rum, no, not The Shining. I always say that. That's play on word, as gifted as he is. ID Now, Twisted Sister, Blood Relatives, American Monster, Murder by Numbers. Unlocked episodes, Twisted Sisters, Season 1, Episode 3. In Plain Sight. What Lies Beneath, To Catch a Killer, Twisted Sisters, Episode 1, Season 1, Episode 1. I said it in reverse. I'm driving in reverse. Blood Runs Code, Twisted. Deadline, yes, Crime with Tamron Hall. On last night, you're asking, Fatal Vows was in fact on. To click this is to get in through your provider, whatever your provider is. You're going to use that to sign in right here to be able to open this up. You can add to watch later. Yes, you can for later on if you, because some of this stuff you can click it and then come back and it'll still be there. Kind of like, I was going to say TiVo. My fault with that. Not the same thing, but somewhat. ID Original Series, To Catch a Killer, Twisted. Yeah, Pamela Smart, The Missing Pieces. There's a lot of things with that. Let me just say it's flooded and keep it at that. And I don't mean Hurricane Florence with that sort of thing. Support the children's hurricane relief efforts. You can in fact donate here by clicking this. You should and you would, as in you should, as in you can go there by clicking that, right? To give from a heart, as to say, to plan a good deed. The crime feed news, you might in fact want to click this to go. No. Let me go back on the format. Now rewinding the tape. As well as my hair got stuck to my finger. I'm sorry. To click on this is to be in fact forwarded on the outside to the crimefeed.com, is where your eyes would in fact meet with that sort of thing. Shouts out to Charles Manson with his dentures on. Yeah, something like that. I kind of look like Little John doing this. Little John. Anybody remember Little John and the rap and the producing and all that? Because of my hair being unbraided. And it has to be this way until I can braid it back. But yes, for a newsletter is to put your email address in and click next with that sort of thing. You, in fact, will receive some goods from ID. Investigation Discovery with that. I think that's all to be said for now. I just keep thinking about the turmoil of young Chima. As in, why did his life have to be taken so soon? Dear God, as in, why did even he deserve that sort of thing? Because to be that young is to be able to play outside with young school children and all the rest. Have fun and not be sitting in a casket and laid the rest underground and all the rest with that sort of thing. That's completely unfair. It's not right. As this other child can freely roam free throughout the atmosphere, the one that, yes, committed the crime can, yes, do anything he choose if he don't go to jail, as in not charged or whatever. And yet Chima, nothing comes with that. I'm saying, yes, justice does serve even when children are bullies and they do that sort of thing, right? But still, you just think about the young life that was lost is all I'm trying to say. So I guess that's all for now. The mother and her beautiful face. I'll be back and on to the next video. Enjoy your day, and I will surely enjoy mine.